morning, B. My fellow B. This is in Turkey, mind you. This is what happens when you get a bunch of turkeys driving on ice. This is why I don't like people texting and driving in the winter conditions. But we'll get there. Talk about it in the spiritual report when we end here. All righty, folks. Howdy, folks. Welcome back. I told you I would be back. So let's get this show on the road. Thank you, Benjamin, for being here. And while we're loading this up, let me take a moment to thank all of you for taking a moment of your time, whether it's in replay or here while we're live, a moment of your precious time to be a part of this precious family. See, this is more than just a YouTube live stream. There's something different about this channel. You're a member of a very, very special family here, okay? So, just thanking you for taking a moment to participate. All right. I'm going to let that image sit there for a second as your jaw drops. Okay. And just let the thumbnail here speak for itself. And you can see we have what appears to be like the winged object or the winged planet, right? And seeing this symbology, this is actually a symbol over a lot of Egyptians' heads and a lot of pharaohs and stuff. It's this black circle with these wings coming off of it, just like this. So what's kind of interesting about all this stuff is everybody's looking down at their phones and they're looking down at their laptops and stuff when they should be looking up and seeing what's up, okay? So there's this image right here, and we're going to put this loop into motion here, and note the little satellite moon being torn away again. Okay, both of these events are happening simultaneously, and it's our bigger object and one of the, little moons interacting with the sun's magnetic field, and the magnet splits these other two magnets that are attracted to each other. So this bigger object and this little satellite moon are attracted to each other, but if you take the sun and drive it like a wedge in between the two, it separates them and splits them and pulls away one of these little satellites. Now that little satellite will probably, for the rest of its journey, stay this far away from the object. So it seems like the sun is slowly tearing away little moons and little satellites away from these bigger objects every time they interact with them. So, and note the spire regions over here. When we first start off, see this spire region? That's where this little moon comes out of, or this little satellite. Okay, and then note it's gone once the event is over. This little spire region, disappears. It's dissipates and it's gone. Okay. Meanwhile, you can see we have another big spire region here. So there's something still going on. And this is on the fringes of this bigger object here. So maybe another trailing moon or something that'll come out of this region now that this bigger one up here has passed. Okay. And I'll let that play another minute there. And again, thank you for taking a moment of your precious time. See, that was the crucial thing in all of this for me was I couldn't get a moment of people's time. It's not for, hey, pay attention to me or whatever, starve for attention. No, I've discovered something that's extremely important. And that's where everybody missed. But not you guys. You guys are part of this family. That's why. Okay. So what I'm going to do is capture this opening frame, do a little sliding and adjusting, capture this opening frame, and we'll pluck away at this frame by frame. And there it is. So 024, roughly our opening frame. You can see our spire regions right here. This is the main one we're looking at right now. Some little craft zooming through there at this juncture. Pretty sure that's the opening. There's 012, 024. Note the date. This is November 29th. And I started at 11:29 tonight, not 11:30. Boom. You can make out ghostly image here, a little satellite moon, possibly a secondary one being, already interacting and moving through the solar wind, the outer bands of the solar wind. Okay, here comes our event right up here, starting to unfold. You can see these little spires starting to grow on the sides here. Then, as it emerges, let me back up. That frame right there captures it pretty well. And what I'm going to do is zoom in on this for you guys so you can get a nice little eyeful of what's going on here. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to scooch it down just right there. Okay, here's your bigger object right here. You can see the circular shape of it. You can see the flow that's wrapping around. Remember, this is a spheroid, okay, a sphere. So stuff is wrapping around. This is just like water or fluid dynamics or even airflow, the way airflow symmetries and water flow symmetries and asymmetries, the way stuff flows around an object is the indicators here. Okay, then you can clearly see a defined line right here. Here's your bigger object. Okay, and these are the like little wings of the winged planet, or the symbology that we see. And here's a good example. And you would see signs in the sun, right? Well, here's a sign in the sun. Yes or no? I would say so. It looks just like one of these kind of Egyptian symbols. I'll have to pull one up and show you an example of what I'm talking about. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. It's like a headdress with a black circle and then these wings that come up off of this black circle, right? And they were indicating this kind of, this kind of activity happening around the sun. See this little satellite sticking out right here in front of it there? There's another spheroid right there, possibly another moon or something right there. Wow, that looks like it has a hexagon on it. You guys see that? Let's go up close and personal here as far as we can, because I want to see where that little slider part. This looks like a hexagon right there. You see this, whatever this is, has some kind of little black hexagon type structure on it. There we go. Ooh, some kind of face over here. All right, anyways, I just kind of wanted to point that out. And then also, something that's a little interesting about this event is there was an object captured at Manchester, United Kingdom airport. Okay. And a lot of you may have seen it. It's a round spheroid with little wings that come off of it, just like this right here. I believe it's a little drone from, or something, maybe possibly from whatever civilization might live with this, possibly. We'll see here. But just kind of strange how we have this activity creating that kind of symbol type effect and a similar shaped object landing at Manchester, UK. Okay, and we'll talk about the terminology Manchester. Okay, remember that image of Jesus pulling open his shirt and showing his chest? He's a man showing his chest. That would be a Manchester. United Kingdom, not divided kingdom, the United Kingdom. There's all kinds of hints going on in the names of a lot of these places. Okay, you got to remember this is like a mystery, like a puzzle that we're trying to put together, right? And there's hints and clues along the way. And how ironic that we get the symbol, we get the tearing away of a moon, we get the object that similar to this landing at Manchester, United Kingdom. So very, very interesting how this stuff is playing out here. All right, so there's your object captured pretty clear. And you can see the flow kind of going over the top, cresting over the top here. So there's clearly a round object that's causing the sun to interact with it. It has a magnetic field of its own. That's what causes plasma to be drawn to it and tear away and go around it. Note how this spire is coming out straight and then this one turns. It's bending light. Even though it looks black, that's still plasma, okay? See plasma draping around it right there? That is bending light. Yes or no? Okay, I'm trying to show you the most basic examples of bending light and how magnetic fields and mass can bend and absorb light. Okay. One more time, we'll hit that. Whoops, forward in reverse. There we go. And just let you look at how that blossom just peels away that moon. The bigger structure goes right over the top of the sun with the smaller moon going down below. Satellite, moon, whatever you want to call it. Not man-made satellite, but another object, an object that orbits a bigger object. Okay, that kind of satellite. So you can clearly see this little moon being pulled away there. In fact, you know what? Let's get into that a little bit. Bingo, right there. And just adjust for this one too. Now, over here you can see, here's your round spheroid wrapped in plasma. You can see the little negative image over here. We got UFOs shooting through there at this moment, okay? Which is, we've seen lots of UFO activity, so this is nothing new. Now, as it comes out, you can see over here, still wrapped in plasma. Oh, where's this? One frame gives a really good, there it is, right there. Now you got to remember, these things are wrapped in plasma, so they're hard to see, and it's not every single frame does it come in crystal clear. So every once in a while, we get these frames where we do capture. Is it that one? Let me darken this up a little bit here. This is the ghost image back here. Here's our object right there. Let me back it up just a frame. There we go. Now you see our round structure right there. I think we can go in a little tighter right there. Scooch it over. Okay, now you can see a round object right here has grabbed a bunch of plasma that's streaking back behind it, has a magnetic field around it. You can see plasma out in front of that magnetic field that's being pulled away. Okay, so there's your little moon satellite object being pulled away from the bigger object that passed from up above. Okay, there we go. Now let's unzoom and move along. Okay, continue here. There we go. Okay, so there it is, moving on out. So, what's up? Well, if you looked up at the sun or followed the satellites that do look up at the sun, since you can't stare right at it, you would see what's going on. All right. So, very important activity captured here, and nice crystal clear images this time. Nothing too hidden. Okay, these things are getting more and more obvious as time progresses here. All right, so there's that event. Now, what we're going to do is pause. Whoops. Let's pause it right on that opening frame here, or that thumbnail frame. I think it was right about there. Right about there, yeah. Okay, we'll leave that for later. Now let's come on over to Solar Ham here. First off, your solar flux indice is at 220. We're still in the red. We're up another 6 points because of that big object and the activity that we saw. It did a jump in the solar flux indice. Also, your sunspot number count is up 13. All right, even though that bigger object and all its little satellites interacted, this may have been before that event, and we might see it come down, or this could be an indication of another bigger object with a bunch of little moons approaching the backside of the sun or off to the side or something. Either way, we're up 13 more sunspot numbers, okay? And that's ones that are on the backside as well. Not even they're counting on any kind of little disturbance, any kind of little dot here. Okay, even these little ones, these little tiny ones, they count those, all right? And even the little tiny ones like this on the backside, that's why it doesn't look like there's, that many sunspots when we say there's, whoops, come back here, how many? 162. And it doesn't look like there's 162 on this face of the sun, but all the way around the whole spheroid, there's 162, adding another 13. Okay, so back to this. Bingo. Okay, so here's your main patch area right here. Still pretty strong. These polarities are still pretty intense. You can see the darker of the color shows intensity. They're pretty gapped, so we're not concerned about right here too much. It's more like these two or right here, and they're kind of stable right now. We haven't seen our event. We saw one event come out of here and destable or decline one region, but one other region still kind of growing. So there might still be almost maybe a body that's rotating out here out of our range of view that's still reaching back and causing magnetic roiling, not boiling, but roiling, where the magnetic field roils and swirls around and stretches and arcs out and until this other magnetic field stops interacting with it. Meanwhile, here's this big sunspot group coming up around the corner right here. Okay, that one we will keep an eye on. They haven't really, I don't think they've given that a number yet. Oh no, that's 3910, I think. All right, so let's back on out of this. There's 3910. This other region, this is old. I don't know why they're still using that image, but all right, let's continue on. First off, you can see how fluxed we are. Goes X-ray flux, that is. All right, usually I zoom in a little bit harder on this, but just our little bumpy ride overall today. You can see here, not too much, but that's your activity. That bigger object and the moon being torn away usually produce like a big old X flare or something like that. But this instrument is between the sun and the instrument. Okay, so activity, unless it's between the sun and this instrument, isn't really going to show up too well here. But there's your activity for today, and you can see it's been a little bumpy ride. I guess I will zoom in there because I did not really get that well. All right, there we go. That's a little bit better. All right, so there's your bumpy little ride, no long duration thing, even though that whole thing was stretched out kind of long duration. It doesn't have that yellow gapping. Okay, and then we have a little activity already going into tomorrow. So we can come back here. Whoops, it's right there. Never mind. We're not going to look at it tonight. I'm just going to refresh it and do it anyway. All right, you can see over here, this little region that's starting to glow has another object or something coming out right there. Look at this, starting to get stronger, and it's shifting direction. You can see this. There's something out of frame here, moving around, causing plasma to reach out of frame here, because this one streak goes right up out of the frame. Let me see if we can capture that just a little brighter. There we go. Okay, see what I'm saying now? This streak is reaching way out of frame. So there's something bigger just outside of our perspective here that's causing this spire region, I believe. And you can be the judge of that as well. They're all very mature adults now that are figuring this stuff out. Also, what I want to do is capture this right over here. I taught a putty tat. Right about there is good. I did. I taught putty tat. There you go. There's your round black spheroid. Same kind of effect. The magnetic field around it, grabbing plasma, stretching it out like this. It'll pull away, leaving that teardrop typical formation that we see. Okay, so there's another little moon trailing after this bigger object has passed now. You know, these things can orbit a further distance out. Whoopsie. Can orbit just a little further out in distance from the main object and then interact before the main object or interact after it, depending on its placement in orbit at the time. You guys understand that? Okay, so we took a little peek into the future there, bumped the camera, so there we go. There's a little peek into tomorrow. Now, let's pull back here, talk about our geomagnetic activity. All right, this is what we were kind of concerned about. 3-day geomagnetic forecast. November 30th been changed to G1 now. Okay, so they lowered this one, which is okay. I'll take a lowering anytime. I don't want to see a bunch of, activity. It's not... We don't need more impact activity. So here we are. Our auroras are kind of dim right now. We're showing a G1 storm with a KP of about 5, almost 5 right there. So a slight G1 geomagnetic impact or geomagnetic storm. And our auroras lit up a little earlier. We should probably have another stripe coming up pretty soon that'll be a little lower. But the impact was smaller, thankfully, than a G2. It was a little late. It didn't come on Thanksgiving. It got caught up with the second one that was behind it, which kind of magnetically adheres to it, slowing up the first one, causing your impact to be a little late. And a little late, just a side swiping, and G1 instead of G2, and also lowered this to G1 as well. So that's some good news, really. Meanwhile, look at our 3905 beta gamma now. It's no longer delta. And why it says it's growing when it just went from beta gamma delta down to beta gamma. That's declining. Now, whether it's starting to grow in strength and electricity and power or whatever right now, and maybe going beta gamma delta in the future, we'll see. But it seems to be that maybe this area is just kind of ebbing and flowing and not having a real big flaring activity because the object that's causing this might be a little further out of screen, out of range of the camera. Now let's get to our BZ component right here, all right? The BZ component of the interplanetary magnetic field, known as the IMF, has been pointing south for the past few hours, and the active geomagnetic field threshold, KP4, was reached. It's like 4.5, almost 5, but although further fluctuations within the solar wind data is likely, a minor G1 geomagnetic storm watch is now in effect until 1500, okay? Sky watchers at high latitude should be on alert for visual auroras. Here we go, geomagnetic K index of 5 right there. So, also, solar wind data indicates the possible arrival of the coronal mass ejection, the CME, observed leaving the sun late on November 25th. The solar wind speed increased from 360 to 430 kilometers a second, and the strength of the interplanetary IMF field increased somewhat from 8 to 14. Currently, the BZ component of the IMF is pointing north, but it changed and started pointing to the south. Okay, we already saw a little act. We know that it changed. And needless to say, CME impact that was predicted to pass our planet was mostly a miss. Geomagnetic activity barely increased, and with the exception of a few brief periods, the BZ component of the IMF field, the geomagnetic storm conditions are no longer expected, although enhanced activity, KP4, is still in the forecast should the BZ begin to tip south again. All right. Yep. Boop, boop. All right, let's see. They tracking, or are we lacking some tracking? Yep, no track lacking. But here we go with this one. We've already seen a couple nights in a row. Impact due here on the 29th. Okay, so boom, we just had our impact. This one right here just impacted us and gave us a G1. So thankfully not G2, because we don't need to be taking on any more energy than we need to. Okay, that covers that really quick. Just a reiteration from spaceweather.com again. Their angle on this, basically the same kind of report, but just touch base with you again. Minor geomagnetic storm, CME, hit Earth's magnetic field today, the 29th. Initial impact was so weak it did not spark a geomagnetic storm. Well, it did a little bit. That was last night, the one on the 29th. 24 hours later, however, a minor G1 storm occurred as Earth passed through the CME's magnetized tail. Magnetized tail. Remember I was showing the tails where the crocheting of the intermixing of the magnetic field lines crochet together. That magnetic crochet is kind of the tail that they're talking about that caused a minor G1 storm. Okay, and however the minor G1 occurred as Earth passed through that tail. Bright auroras were confirmed within the Arctic Circle. All right, you can come here and read about the light pillars gradient article, but I got to keep moving on. Now, our Schumann instrument is down right now, and well, there's a lot of reasons why, especially this site, because this is the Russian site, and for some of you who watch, I think it's one of these prepper guys, and he showed the Russian transmissions. See, the site can't be reached. He was showing Russian transmissions, and they were being captured on the Schumann resonance. So our Russian site and their blasting Russian code is actually being caught on the Schumann, so they pulled it down. And other Schumann sites, like over at Mr. MBB, are also non-operational at the moment. So our Schumann report for the night is they're non-operational due to probably what's going on over in Russia. Okay, so moving on to our null school. Let's get schooled in the null really quick. You can see our interplanetary our intertropical convergence zone, okay, right through here is still pretty high, about 15 degrees latitude north than the equator. So we still have this bleed over effect right there of air coming from the southern hemisphere into the northern hemisphere. We're going to go up in elevation a little bit really quick and pop up some storm activity. You can see this big storm rotating out here. Brian, has been at least 2 Schumann spikes today. Yeah, I imagine there has, because there's been some solar activity. All right, so we're gonna, where was it? Okay, here. This little storm right here, getting strong. Where was the other one? Oh, look at this up here. All right, and later when we get into our thermals, you'll see what's going on up there. All right, so this one right here, big old storm, typhoon lashing India right here. All right, and we'll show you the thermal effects that are causing this as well. It's gonna be like, I don't know if I needed to see that, Brian. All right, trying to get that white border out of the frame. That's good. So typhoon right off the coast of India right there. All right, now what I want to do is pull back here and get into our sandstorm, particulates, dust and extinction aerosols. Whoops, lovely name. Take the wind off, slow down, Brian, and breathe. Okay, there is your, wow. Look how much of Africa is just covered with sand. It's all the way out to the coast, way out here into the Atlantic, and then creeping way up into Spain, up into Europe, way up into Norway and Sweden. I mean, it's actually kind of getting up here into the Arctic Circle, isn't it? Isn't it? Okay, meanwhile, very intense sandstorm going on over here in Saudi Arabia. You can see what's going on over here. For those with eyes that see, it's still there. It's just one eye stronger than the other. Okay, very intense sandstorm going on over in Saudi Arabia, Oman, Yemen area right now. So, okay, spreading sand all around the world. Also keeps hurricane production down in this region. Moving on to SO2, sulfur dioxide emissions, not carbon dioxide. And as we come on into our divided kingdom, not the United Kingdom, but right down the middle here, you can see it's bleeding out on one side, soft, spongy type porous crust. On the left side, more thick, rocky, mountainous granite with volcanic perforations in the crust emitting SO2. So whoosh, there's your country divided. All right, so as we do this gas comes out of the ground so hot it sparks fires, but we're going into our winter season now and the end of fall, and air temperatures cooling stuff down and diminishing fires, keeping this activity kind of down to a minimum. So that's good. It's actually kind of quelled the fire season for right now, but you can see there's very, very strong, intense plumes. And when you get one of these strong plumes next to a bunch of wooded trees and bushes and stuff, it's going to catch everything on fire. Okay, moving along through Mexico, you can see they have their activity there. We come over to Cuba, Jamaica, Dominican Republic, all volcanic islands, all spewing SO2. Okay, these are all small little perforations in the crust. Magma wants to come up through it, but the pathway is too tight. It's so tight that only gas and air, can escape through it. So these channel ways are really tight and compact, and only SO2 is coming out. But this is basically vaporized magma. All right, the gas that surrounds the magma down below, it's coming out first. Magma wants to come out, but it can't. So it's pushing out the gases instead. And when you do that, it relieves the pressure down below, just a lot like a bicycle tube when you have a slow leak in it. I keep using that as an analogy for you guys to kind of wrap your head around how the relief of pressure. If you picture all of these as a bunch of little tiny pinholes in an inner tube, you'd see how much, even though I'm over here with the hand pump, pumping as fast as I can, all these little holes are relieving pressure, right? Okay. Fulcrum point on the plate boundary relates back on land right here. Here's your weak spot, okay? And that's where the gas comes out in higher quantities. You see our darker spot. I like to come over here as a gauge because these 5 spots in this region flare up, different sizes, different colors, indicating pressure waves from down below. So far, nice and dark through this region. These upper ones kind of diminished, but this main one is nice and dark and a little bigger than usual. All the way down here, you can see we have very strong emissions get caught up by the wind and taken out over the Pacific. And there's our SO2 plume, giving you an indication of how much came out today. It's every once in a while we come over and eyeball this size of this plume, kind of, okay, whew, a bunch came out today, all right. The earth farted a little bit. Kind of. SO2 smells like rotten eggs. Sulfur. Okay, here we come to the middle of the Pacific Rim, much like a bicycle rim. It has a hub. And here's the hub, the middle of the rim, where pressure also has to relieve too. So here's our hub. Oahu doing a lot of SO2 emissions as opposed to actual volcanic explosions, which is good because too many people on that island. Let the volcanoes happen over here on Hawaii. So you can see not much volcano, but we're still having SO2 emissions and earthquake activity here on a volcano. Let's pull on over to this side of the planet and back up for their time zones. Okay, now you can see very dark SO2 emissions through China. It's all reached up into this area, down into Korea, north and south. Japan's a volcanic island, so it's got SO2 emissions. I like to drop in here and check on Taiwan because it's on the fulcrum point of the plate boundary system where we see a lot of pressure relief, and this was being a relief valve for a while. We have a new opening on the ocean floor that's relieved pressure. We had transfer of pressure instead of building under here. All that pressure just got relieved over with a new leak, a new hole in the bicycle tube over here somewhere. So still having SO2 emissions, which means, it's still being a valve and still relieving pressure. You can see right down through here, the Philippines. Now we come down to Java. It's another relief valve, very dark tonight. Okay, you can see that the gas has been blown across these straits. All right, so if you took all this coloration out here and squeezed it back on the island, it would be pretty dark. It's just that the wind is blowing it. So a lot of SO2 emissions coming out of Sumatra, Java. This whole region's been another relief valve. And you can see these offshore islands off of Sumatra, volcanic islands, all having SO2 emissions as well. Okay, now, stop. What is that? All right, there we go. I want to, take you over here really quick too. Just touch base with this. Okay, this is our deep quake region where a lot of our energy comes up from down below at the plate boundary, starting of the plate boundary system right through here. Okay, so SO2 emissions coming out of Fiji in the deep quake region. Then we have just off the plate boundary is this pencil-shaped island with a couple of little SO2 sites right here. These two are pretty healthy emission sites, and they act like a relief valve too when pressure comes up underneath this plate boundary system right here. And this will come in later in our earthquake report. You can see this typhoon here is taking wind and throwing it back up into India and keeping all that SO2 over this region. It can't pass over the Himalayas. They're too high. So the Himalayan mountain range runs right through here, keeping this gas from going and escaping, and just keeps recirculating over. Now, last time it was circulating this way, pushing it up against the Himalayas this way. Now this typhoon is taking this gas and blowing it out across the ocean now. You see it's not being pushed up against the Himalayas now. Now it's being pushed out across the Indian Ocean here. All right, when we put the winds on, you'll see that here too. So, also look at Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, Turkey. This whole region is really starting to darken in. Okay, some of these sites here out in the desert are spewing not only SO2 but methane as well. Methane being a flammable gas at such hot temperature when it comes out of the ground, the moment it hits the air, it ignites. So it comes out of the ground already as a flame. So not only are we seeing SO2 emissions, but we are also seeing sand pits open up with flames shooting out of them. I'll have to find the video of the activity that's really going on over here. I think some of you may have seen it's all over the internet. So, but that activity is happening all through this region here. And I think a lot of you understand why when you see that evil face over here glaring at this region. They're in so much trouble. If they only knew it was good for them. All right, there is your SO2 report. Okay, did I cover everything? All right, that's good enough. I want to get over here to our water now because this is something different's changed here, and we got to start talking about this now. There we go. Okay, first we're going to take a little tour of our hotspots, and I want to start off really quick right up here. I want you to wrap your head around why in the world, as we were getting close to the shortest day of the year, is just what, 21 days away, 22 days away, is the peak of winter, the shortest day of the year. Why is there a hot spot, a singleized hot spot between Greenland and over here north of Newfoundland? Well, that's because there's a volcanic vent on the ocean floor, venting hot water, steam, or whatever's coming out of it is a lot hotter, and there's a vent on the ocean floor. Yes or no? Okay, not too tough to figure out, okay? I want you to note something here, too. Let's kind of just take a peek at the top of the world, looking down. See all this hot water patches way far north in the wintertime? Let's go down to the southern hemisphere during their going into summertime. Wait a second, all the cold water. And they're going into summertime, huh? So you're telling me the water here at the equator is colder than the water on the whole top of the planet. Uh-oh. It's blatantly obvious now, isn't it? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start coming over to this region. This is out by Tamu Masi and a bunch of little seamounts or cracks on the ocean floor that have opened up, whether they're spewing magma or steam or SO2, methane, whatever comes out is extremely hot. And it creates this huge heat plume out here in the Pacific. Meanwhile, as we're going into winter, we're heading into the shortest day of the year, cold water starts to inundate the northern hemisphere, and it can't get in this region because there's too much hot water. So here's your cold water. It's finally pushed out this triangle-shaped structure that we had that was actually starting to turn yellow at one point. That was concerning. And it's really diminished the temperature and the pressure out here in the Pacific. We still have a couple of places here off of Northern California. All right, but here at your Juan de Fuca region, remember this was all red? Look, there's one last little tiny patch of red, almost gone, and this too. But your plate boundary comes out, zigzags up like that, and now that we've had the earthquake activity in there, it relieved the pressure, bringing down the temperatures, allowing cold water to inundate. Now, that cold water next to hot water creates the rotation. Now, your rotation structure has changed because of the diminish of pressure there. We'll get to the winds in a minute. I just got to go around so you can see all these heat plumes coming off the ocean floor. Okay, and you can see individual ones like this, and it makes it blatantly obvious. When you see a volcanic island that has a heat source right next to it offshore, okay, that's magma, escaping at a volcanic site. And look at this, right in between Malaysia and Sumatra right here. Okay, down here by Java, this yellow is starting to creep in this area again. It was a little yellow stripe right along the plate boundary. It looked like the plate boundary was leaking for a while, but something else probably opened up. Like these little sites around here are new, and the pressure transfers. As soon as there's an opening nearby, well, that's a new pathway of least resistance. So pressure in the area comes out here and relieves it in another region. There's Hopkinson. Hi, sweetie. Hop in, Cindy. Let's go for a ride. All right, there's this activity that's going on down here, which I believe might be part of our transfer of pressure, from one region to another as well. We have this activity off the coast of Africa right here. Also this right here, this new rash that's growing right here off the coast of Africa, right there, has changed. That's a new rotator. That's going to change rotation. Also, look out in this region here. This is where the Mid-Atlantic Ridge comes up, zips, goes up towards Iceland. So out here along the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, we're seeing leakage now, which relieves pressure in a different area. But let's come on into Iceland up here. Okay, we've seen Reykjanes going off and Zvarensky here going off on Iceland. Look at Iceland. Look at how much hot water is around Greenland and Iceland. And look at the cold water pinch off here, just offshore, because this is a frozen block of ice right here. So it's going to have, cold radius around it. But all the hot water emissions are right next to it. Hot next to cold creates rotation. Hot next to cold. So look at Iceland, pressure around Iceland creeping into that region. And we see fissures unzip here and spew magma. We're seeing fissures open up right over here, spewing magma down through there. So that's what's going on. Keeping temperatures up here in the North Atlantic. I want you to think about this for a minute. This is the North Atlantic in late fall, almost wintertime, when these waters get extremely cold. They're not very cold right now. They're hotter than the water at the equator. Something's wrong, all right? Something's very wrong with the planet. Now, meantime, you can see the Gulf here. So this is really increasing in size and in strength and temperature in this region, meaning more activity is opening up in this region on the ocean floor. Now, Mike talked about the possibility of ignition down under there. We also have, up in Pennsylvania, in the strata, there are layers of coal, and when this heat comes up from down below and hits a layer of carbon that hasn't completely burned off, well, it ignites that coal and from underneath and creates fires. And now we've got coal fires that are burning up in Pennsylvania and in other regions, all induced from down below. There's so many oil rigs in this area, so we might see oil rig fires, unfortunately. Now this there's D-Res. I feel you coming. Right? Since your presence is gone its way. I love you too, bro. All right, let's get into this real quick. This region now, these openings that were here have kind of diminished. Look, there's a new opening right here. See that new opening right there has transferred pressure to our new path of least resistance, diminishing these ones that were here and here and here. Yeah, it's an understatement. Yeah, it is. But most people don't notice. They're too busy watching the politics or their phone. They're looking down instead of what's up. Anyways, you can see it's changed our pattern here. It's the blue, the cold water, the La Nina that was starting to, form here is trying to fight back, but we keep having little spots open up. Now, this latest little spot is a new spot from lately, yes or no? Yeah. And you can see how it's taken these ones down a little bit. All right, now let's get the winds on there because you guys are going to feel like you took some acid and somebody slipped something in your drink or something, because the wind patterns match up to your hot and cold plumes, creating rotation. Over this hot water gathers air. That air heats up. That hot air rises. Over the colder water is cooler air. So when hot air rises, colder air rushes in to replace it. So we got hot air rising, cooler air from back here rushing in to replace it. This cooler air is coming into this hot air. Okay, and you can see, let me pull back a little bit. We're too close in. How your heat cold plumes are driving your conveyor belt structures, which are controlling your storms and your wind patterns. Your weather activity is all being controlled by volcanic activity on the ocean floor. Now, say an earthquake happens and relieves pressure in one area and stops this rotation that was parked here and changes course now. Now the weather has changed course due to an earthquake. This area is really gaining in strength over in here. A lot of heat coming out of this region, which is creating rotation, aiming it more towards England and Ireland. Here's your hot air rising, colder air coming in to replace it. So there's that rotation right there. Now look at this. Where to go? Look at this one right here. And that's way, way up there on the top of the planet. All right, so come down to here, do the conveyor belt structure right there. Where was another good? All right, so hot air rising, cold air comes around, rushes in to replace this hot air that's rising. Okay, so there's your rotation, hot and cold. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be blue, but yellow and red. Red is cooler than the yellow, so this is cooler air, even though it's coming off of Iceland out of this region over some lukewarm water. So that's cooler air coming in to replace this hot air. And there's all your conveyor belt structures. Look at this down here. There's a good example, huh? And see how it's just following the heat plumes and the cold plumes. All right. Where was this other one? Over here. Okay, so there is your heat plume structures and your conveyor belt storm structure report right there. We'll take the winds down and we'll leave this part up for, oopsie, get off the blue there. Yeah, oh well. And move on with the earthquake report really quick here. Thanks for bearing with me. My poor laptop won't handle all these pages open at once anymore, so we just got to kind of open them as we go, or else we'll have a snafu and it's boring looking at a dark blank screen as opposed to just learning how to Which one does he click on? Oh, satellite. That's the one he clicks on. Oh, and then you close it like that, and you get rid of the screen, or widen the screen like that. All little tricks you learn along just by watching other little stuff. All right. Coming into our deep quake region, here's Fiji. All right, we had our bigger deep quake that pushed 5 magnitude to the surface energy yesterday. So no more deep quake today. So we still have some of this residual energy that's trying to push up from down below. Here's mid-range 4 at 336. Okay, and then again with earthquake activity here, and now here it's been very rare that we've seen earthquake activity in this region because of the relief of pressure, the SO2 emission sites out of this island. Just opposite. 4.4 down at 131. Volcanic feature right there. See this little island? You can see it slopes down going underwater down to the trench. That's a flank. That's an earthquake on the flank of a volcano, which is an indication of pressure down below. Mid-range 4 again. It's down at 249. It's on this volcanic little ridge right here where we see all these volcanoes going off. So mid-range 4 on the flank of a volcanic feature. All quiet through this region. Deep quake region right there, kind of quiet. Look at this. In between Java and Sumatra here in the Sunda Strait, this is where Krakatoa is right here. The son of Krakatau, which happened to be one of the most devastating blasts in human history, came out of this region right here. Well, just outside the straits right there along the flank of this wall right here is your 4.8 down at 15. It's pretty much surface quake just outside these volcanoes. And these ones are erupting. Krakatau is, Semeru, Dracono. So much pressure coming out of this region. It's constant volcano activity, constant SO2 emissions, and it's not enough. And we see earthquake activity, which will help relieve pressure in that region and keep those, a lot of the emissions that were coming out of this plate boundary down. Oh, we got mid-range 4 there, mid-range 4 there, mid-range 4 there. It's just like one of those mid-range 4 days because there's one right there. That's a little higher at the surface. Another mid-range 4 there. Even up here in the Kamchatka, finally, we're seeing earthquake. So there must have been a fair amount of pressure come up already because the 5 different volcanoes that are currently erupting on this peninsula are not enough. And now we're seeing earthquake activity right next to our fulcrum here. And let's get into depth really quick. 76 for this 4.3. This 4.2 is down at 57. So 76, 57, they're kind of similar in depth. This one a little bit deeper on land right there, 4.3 at 110. So is that on land? Yes, it is. Right in the weak spot, right in that weak zone where water inundates into the land here, making it like the beach where you could dig down 5 feet and hit water. So underneath a lot of this coastal region right here is water underneath that dirt right there. So making a weak zone, and there you have 4.3 activity, but it's still down underneath it. You can see these sand flanks coming down out of the water, kind of like down to the ocean floor down here. So something down underneath these flanks, if you could drive this through the screen and push it back through the screen down into the ground down in there, is your earthquake. Volcano right there. All right. So one other one to report over here at Turkey, we have a 4.8 and it's down at 59.6. We'll just take a peek at what's that out in the water. Yes, it is. Okay, you can see this is all like one big tabletop right here, and then it drops down to the ocean floor here. So these are big walls that drop down, and down here in this pit, deeper down underneath this little pit area is your 4.8 here off the coast of Turkey. Alrighty, we're going to go, South America and magnitude checks here before we go into America. We got a 3.6, still a slight little increase, 3.2. This is where we had that little swarm event. So this little path of least resistance, this weak spot that's formed off the plate boundary right here, is where we've been seeing our uptick in earthquake activity and magnitude. And today we had a few there. Okay, even though they're not too big of an uptick in magnitude, it's the fact that we have like 4 decent sized quakes right there, relieving pressure in that region, by the way. 3.2. Okay. Bingo, 4.4 down at 156. Fulcrum point, just off of this whole brown features like one big fulcrum, right? So just off the main point right here is your fulcrum point, 5.2 at the surface, scrubbing energy. That's your biggest quake of the day right there. Is a 5.2 on the plate boundary off of South America. Right by the fulcrum point in South America is your 4.2 down at 159. Recent quake just happened down here by the Kermadec Trench is a 4.6 at the surface. Remember mid-range 4 energy all the way through this area? Well, we just had another mid-range 4 right there. Yeah, we had a little something here. Hawaii is a 3.3. Okay, we'll get into all magnitudes here into America. Oops, other direction. Okay. So all our energy at this fulcrum point area coming out through volcanoes and finally some earthquake activity, a little flurry of mid-range 4s right there, relieves pressure in this region. So there's no microquake activity going on through all these volcanic chain through here. Nothing until you get up by the fulcrum point up here. And these are all small ones. They're nothing too big. The biggest one being a 3.5 right there. What's right inside the bay? 2.3. Okay. Coming down, Juan de Fuca, very quiet because, well, we've seen a relief of pressure in this region over the course of the last 2 weeks. So it's been quiet ever since because there's not as much pressure pushing up from down below. Is there? Okay, comes out from this little point, comes out and zigzags and goes up. All this area was red, now it's blue. The blue means that the pressure that's underneath there has been vented. There's still a little small leak of something right here and here. But overall, keeping all this earthquake activity is kind of down now. What little we do have here at the fulcrum point is a 2.6, not much. Let's go back up. I'm not going to check magnitudes. I just wanted you to note location. Right at the top of Mount Rainier was 0.4. Doesn't matter. But it's a tremor right on top of the old volcanic vent. The shaft that goes down to the magma that's plugged up just got rattled, and it rattled the top of the volcano. Rattled there. There's an earthquake on the flank of Mount St. Helens. Here's Mount St. Helens with one near the top. There's one at the flank of Mount St. Helens. So we're seeing earthquake activity at these 2 volcanoes, which is an indication of a wave of pressure down below. 2.3 up at Red Bluff. This little region has now become a new little active area right at the top of the valley there. Also, we got the geysers here. And they're just microquaking, but look at this recent little flurry of red right here. So right now we're having a fair amount of pressure being relieved via microquake activity here, which is 2.4, 1.1. Yeah, so it's a bunch of small ones, but that's good. We'd rather see it vent in a bunch of small ones that you don't really feel or do much damage. And look at all of the other yellow ones that are around the area. So this little region has been our main little active, place that vents pressure, our relief valve. And look around it. There's not much Quaker activity around it for a while till you get to the South Bay there, which is Pacifica, very light through the San Andreas. Magnitude's really small through Nevada. Right inside our teardrop is a current quake at 1.1. You can see there's current quake activity going on here in South America or South California on both sides of the plate boundary. 1.3, 1.0, both sides right there. All right, now man-made perforations in the crust. 2.7 in Falls City, Texas. 1.7. Okay, whoops, other direction. Okay, no New Madrid quakes, no Craton quakes. So that's about it for today on quake activity. Note, this is your fracture zone that goes up through here. That goes up through here. Right there off of Spain and England right here. This little part that comes backwards or kind of does this bow shape. Right up at Spain, England, this area out here, does a bow shape, is leaking. And there's JPOS. Good to see you, sir. Come on in. Curl up and get comfy. Anyways, Mike from around the world been trying to hint at you guys as to what's going on here, and he was talking about this area along the North Atlantic Ridge emitting magma and even nickel. Well, nickel, if we're getting nickel, that's down by the core. Okay, the core is possibly nickel. All right, we're not quite sure exactly what element the core is made of, but it could possibly be nickel. And that's a very dense metal from very down deep. And if we're getting emissions from down that deep, that's concerning. So, and it's super hot down there. So one little drop of nickel could create one big plume, whereas it takes a little bit of lava to create that size plume. So there even a possibility of radioactive isotopes like cesium and stuff coming up through these emission sites too as well. Now, correlate all that to your volcano report coming up next. Up there, 37, 32, 37 currently erupting. All right, 32, that's down from 33. We're close to 70. I'm going to go with that number 70 because I don't even count these ones. I just leave them out of the equation altogether, but they are part of it too. But conservative 70 volcanoes, active volcanoes, whether fully erupting or just active, we have 70 active volcanoes going on. 7 years ago, when all this stuff started happening to me, back then there was one little puddle of lava that just sat there and bubbled in Hawaii. There was one active volcano. Back then, if I'd have told you we would have 70 active volcanoes 7 years later, you would have laughed. You would have said, Brian, you're crazy. Well, here we are, 7 years later, 70 volcanoes, and I am still crazy about you. Whew, let's get into it, shall we? My little stick. I be you. I be with you. 10,000 feet. Where are we? 8,000 feet today. Okay, that's our typical altitude. So, but still, another 8,000 foot blast out of Ebu. Every day it's Ebu too. Semeru and Ebu and Luatobi, Flores here. Every day they're blasting. So 8,000 foot there, 9,000 foot out of Luatobi. Semeru pushing its maximum of 15. It's usually 14, and it broke its own record at 15, and now it's pushing maximum 15,000 foot blast, which is an indication of pressure down below pushing up. Okay, Brian, do you think the atmosphere is thinner than normal? Not thinner as in density, it's kind of thicker than normal. As in height, it's getting thinner because of atmospheric compression coming down from above as well. We have heat from below pushing it up, atmospheric pressure from above pushing down on it, making it thinner like this. But as far as density, there are more particulates and more water vapor in our air, making it thicker, if you know, like a sauce, thicker. Okay. Two different kinds of thick and thin there. Good question, though. I love good questions. Okay, 15,000 feet, Semeru maxing out even beyond its max. Popocatépetl here, above the teens now. It's getting into the 20,000 foot range. Outside of Mexico City, 20,000 foot blast. Santa Guido, no PTSD today. 14,000 out of Fuego. Sangay, again, Sangay pushing above the teens into 20,000. And that's just in the last few minutes. That's not even today. Here's today, which is now yesterday, because, well, time flies at this channel. This map should not exist. This is pure madness, this map right here. All the red means currently erupting. In eruption. Svarensky, I showed you a wall of lava coming out of it. That's in eruption. All of these, Popocatépetl just had a 20,000 foot blast. That's an eruption. All of these red ones are just constantly erupting. Up here in the Kamchatka, just to count, they're so tightly, densely packed. We have Shivaluj, Kluchevskoy, Bizimani, Karaminsky, Adelaide, and Ebico. There's 6 of them right there. They're all in the red. Okay. Meanwhile, this plate boundary system that runs through here, we see earthquake activity finally in this region right here. But look, we got active volcanoes through that whole region that relieve pressure along that plate boundary. A lot of these are on the plate boundary as well, relieving pressure throughout Sumatra and stuff. There's the fissure that opened up at Iceland that's currently erupting, yes or no? Okay. Canleon, because when it says currently erupting, everybody kind of just, it just rolls over there, keeps moving on. All right, here we go. Svarensky and the Reykjanes Peninsula. Activity has been stable over the past 24 hours. So no influx, but no retreat either. Activity has been stable. So there's a stable curtain of lava coming out of the fissure there. Canleon, 9,000 feet. Tau. The explosive activity at the volcano continues. Yet another phreatic eruption occurred this morning. New wound pressure pushing up on a new volcano will cause explosive activity. Madame, 8,000 feet. Ibu, I be with you at 8,000 feet. Luatobi, 9,000. There's a little higher than that. Again with Semeru 15, Popocatépetl 20, Santa Guido 13, Fuego 15, Nevada del Ruiz, sporadic emission, Sangay 21,000 feet. And this is the list of insanity. Currently erupting. All of this whole list, I can't even read them all right now, are currently erupting. All right. These are ones that are eruption warning. They're active. They're, not currently erupting, but there's still pressure and they're still venting and hissing and spewing SO2. So these lists are insane. Don't get too desensitized to this because you'll think this is normal activity. This is way, way off the map of normal activity. And you won't see this on your news because, well, they purposely coming up with any kind of distractions to keep you from knowing about this. Now, what I'm trying to tell you is this is the activity that's on land. We come over to here, 2/3 of the planet is the surface of the planet has water on top of it. So this part of the surface of the planet has volcano activity too. And there's the rest of your volcano vents underwater. I've got a runaway freight train here. Okay, so there's your volcano activity. Let's get on over to our weather now, because all this added moisture, added particulates creates added water in the in the atmosphere. Okay, the air acts much like a sponge. Okay, and the sponge just got bigger and can hold more water. And when you wring out the sponge, your storms are producing higher amounts of water content, creating larger storms, stronger hurricanes, stronger tornadoes, all that great stuff. Larger hail, everything that goes along with weather, basically. Flash flooding, lightning, everything that goes along with weather. It's just getting more and more intense because of, well, the particulates, the added moisture, and then we also have the spiritual realm that's in control of the weather. So a lot of this is very unpredictable, and we're just going to peck away at this anyways, because there's your current conditions, nighttime of the 29th. Most of this activity kind of clearing the nation. We still have travel, people doing travel. So we'll want to check for travel issues. There will be the morning of the 30th, noon, a little bit of snow in the middle of the country, but nothing too bad. Convection, nighttime, morning of the 1st, noon, convection, nighttime, morning of the 2nd. Okay, usually we have geomagnetic activity. It enhances storm activity, but when there are no storms, there's nothing to enhance, so there's no reason to add that really to our forecast. That'll be the morning of the 2nd, noon, convection, nighttime, the 3rd, noon, convection, nighttime, the 4th, noon, convection, nighttime, the 5th. See how this big old cold patch reached back down there and pulled up some moisture? It connected right here for a second. Bingo, made a little linear storm front. Depending on the time frame, that's December 4th. It's kind of outside our time frame right now, but if this does kind of come to fruition and congeal like this, you watch this little linear storm front that skirts back down this way. That's like a typical model or that we kind of watch for there. Okay, there's morning of the 5th. You see activity trying to reach up into here. Noon, convection, nighttime, the 6th. Noon, convection, nighttime 7, noon, convection, nighttime 8. Okay. Cold air, warm, moist air. We have very hot waters in the Gulf, keeping warm, moist air in this region. So any kind of cold that dives down like this is going to finally hit a barrier. And you see these icing events on either side. This is icing. And this is not a new effect, but it would be for the region, people down in this region, okay? So this is going to be, as we get into winter here, icing events are going to come into the mix because of the warm, moist air that's still around in wintertime. That's the problem. Usually that cools off and it becomes, not such a drastic change between hot and cold. It's more like cool and cold. So there's not the violent extreme weather in between the two air masses. But here we're having air mass collisions causing severe weather and icing events. Now, not necessarily this time frame and right here because that's outside our scope, but that's an example of what to watch for here in the future. These icing events stick to the power lines. They take down the power lines. You'll be out of power. They cover the roads with ice, not snow. You can't drive on this because it's just black ice. There's no grip at all, and your cars slide all over the place, kind of like in the introduction I showed you. Okay, so icing events possible here in the near future in that region, especially when we have cold air masses diving down out of Canada, colliding with moist, warm air along the Gulf. Okay, then you see how violent it gets offshore. More icing events up here because there's warm, moist air. It's crept up the backside of this, colliding with cold air up there. So our weather patterns are kind of in this transition pattern. We should be in transition right now, but we're kind of being controlled by those thermal patches off the water. And look, watch this region right here where we see all our hot water. Stuff just blossoming right out of the hot water right there, huh? All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and play that. And this region right here where we saw our heat emissions off the water, look where a lot of our moisture is coming out of there. So you see that pattern and that effect of how it's streaming warm, moist air out of this region colliding. So in this region, I'd be careful and watch your weather and watch as these cold fronts come in. Make sure they're, not going to be one of those air mass collisions, because this is more than just convective thunderheads at afternoon, stacking up high over the course of the day. This is different. This is cold and warm air masses, warm moist air masses colliding with each other. And it doesn't matter what time of the day they collide. They cause convection in the nighttime, especially in the morning time when air is cool. So okay, so I see a little question here. I saw a video from a legitimate news channel on YouTube about some dang factory let out a steam plume that caused a snow squall. Yes, they can let out steam plumes like that, and that can affect the weather. That's a manipulation. Dr. Campbell is red hot. I just got done leaving. Okay. Oh, Buckeye Jim, I'm glad to see you here. Do you think the atmosphere is thinner? Okay, that was the good question right there. It was from Buckeye Jim. Thank you, J-Pause, for being here. Leslie, all you guys. First mystery revealed, all ascended, second ascension, except for Antichrist and followers. Oh, yes, you guys are getting this. Keep looking up. All right, that's a new one. I haven't seen you here. Oh, you've been catching these lives, but was too lazy to chat. But that's okay. It's not lazy. You just chill. All right. So it's hard to know. Oh, wait, here we go. It's hard to know if the rapture is a positive thing or not. The Bible is confusing on this because the Old Testament says, tie yourself to bedrock, but the New Testament says, go. We will discuss that here in just a minute. So hang in there. All right. Okay, so we did all our astrophysics. We did all our geophysics. Now we're going to get into what people call metaphysics, but it's actually the real spiritual report and how you work. Okay, so what we're going to do here is open up like we usually do, pull up a couple of images here for reading. Bingo. All right. For those of you, most of you here already see what's going on here. Let me just do a little bit of adjusting here. I got a couple good things to read for you guys tonight. So a lot of this stuff can be disturbing, create anxiety and stuff. That's why it's important that you get your spiritual work down and keep practicing it and get success at practicing it. So you'll be well versed and well practiced. You'll be an expert because you will have actual experience on how to salvage your day and bring this light into other people's lives. All right, there we go. Hopefully you can see our Savior opening up his shirt like Superman here, exposing his heart. And let's get just a tad bit better frame here. It's right back here. I don't want it too big. I want you to be able to see. All right, that's good enough right about there. All right, so Manchester. Well, this guy has all this love inside of his chest, and he tears his shirt open, bearing his heart. That's his man chest. He's a Manchester. United Kingdom, not divided kingdom. All of these things are little clues and little hints. He uses the names of places as like clues, little breadcrumbs and stuff. So when I saw that UFO landing at Manchester, UK, I knew exactly what it meant. And it has that similar shape to, what we just saw off the sun there. Okay, most of you already know what's going on here. For the new people, it's going to be a little strange, so we're just going to have to bear with it. A lot of stuff has happened to me in the last 7 years, ever since the Revelation 12 star alignment, when the Revelation 12 baby was born in my garage. And we could do that one just really quick. while I sneeze. Am I going to sneeze? Maybe not. All right, we're going to pull up one more. I'm going to show you this just because I see a couple of newcomers in here. And for those of you who have been here before, you know you can't just jump into the end of the story right away and expect to get it and understand it. So just really quick, this tends to help. So Revelation 12 star alignment happened on September 23rd of 2017. Okay. 11 days later, let's see, get that date in there. Up here it says October 4th of 2017. 11 days after the Revelation 12 star alignment that was foretold 2,000 years ago and actually took place 2,000 years later, a biblical prophecy came true. That should have shook the world, but everybody just kind of poo-pooed it and moved on. Well, 11 days later, my security cameras captured this, and I'm just going to go ahead and play this quick little video and say a quick prayer for tonight's readings too. And this was actually captured the day before the other picture, but I hadn't found it for years later until I was digging around through my, my old pictures and stuff, and went even further back to see if I'd missed anything, and I captured this one. And we're going to zoom into this streak right up here, this one right here. Just bear with me for a second here. Now, hopefully, you can see we have a lady's profile here. Here's her eye, here's her forehead, her snub little nose, here's the bottom jaw, she's smiling. She's looking down and she's holding a baby, and here's the baby's head right here. Here's the face, the back of the head. Here's her arm cupped around like this, and she's holding the baby. Now I'm going to run this through the filter real quick, and it's going to enhance it, but a little bit too much. See, now you can really make out her profile a lot better and see her face, and her headdress is coming over and going down back behind her. And you can still make out the baby's head right here. If I pull back a little bit, there we go. And this was captured on October 4th. So this was about 11 days after the Revelation 12 sign. All this stuff started happening to me just prior to the Revelation 12 sign and then right after it. So it said the woman was about to give birth. Well, it looks like maybe she gave birth, and here's the little baby being caught up to God. Alright, so there's that image. Hopefully you guys can see that little baby there. Got better there. Hopefully you guys can see this a little bit better now than before. We'll undo the filter real quick just so you can get the original. Now you can see the baby's head just a little bit better. You can make out his little ear. And then we'll put the filter back in again. And there we go. Yeah. There's your Revelation. The spherical things are watching you. Born right there in my garage. The watchers. Camera. So that's it for now. My next video. Okay, so that was October 4th when that was captured. Then paranormal activity happened to me, something really disturbing. And, well, I did the video about the Nemesis and Nibiru and posted it, and I figured I was going to die. I was not feeling very good at this moment. I thought I was dying. And I went out to the garage and on my knees screaming and crying and praying right here. And this was captured by the security camera. So we'll show this here. Folks, welcome back. So I've been going through some of the old photos and running them through the filter. And this was one of the first ones that I had ever captured. And what's going on here is I'm here on my knees. I'm crying and screaming and praying, all three at once. I was in some extreme anguish. A paranormal traumatic event happened to me, something so unbelievable you guys wouldn't believe it. So if I told you, so I'm going to show you instead. So in this image here, I'm sitting here praying, and Mary's head appears right next to my head, and we're going to zoom in on this, You can't go in too tight on it, but she's looking down at my head this way. Let's see, there's pretty good. And you can make out her eye and her nose coming down, her shawl coming over, and it's in shadow right here. This is a shadow of the inside of her shawl going over her head like this. Here's her eye, her nose, her other eye would be on the other side there. Too zoomed in there. Okay. But there we go. Now you can see it. Too tight on it. And then also is this white ball with an eye in it, this white orb with an eye in it. Okay, and that's not all, because over here in this corner up here is an angel, the silhouette of an angel with his wings spread, with his back to us, standing in a shaft of light. Here's his head, there's a glow over the head, the wings are extended, and there's a feather coming off. The last feather coming off is crossing over these brown roof tiles in the background here. And you can make out there's an angel right here, and you can even see his head right here. I'm going a little bit tighter. So there's the angel with his back to us and his wings spread. You see the feather coming out of that dimension into ours and crossing over these brown roof tiles. Filter. Before it was really faint and it was hard to see. Same with this. This came out a little bit better here. Yeah, there's Mary looking down at my head because I was in anguish. I mean, what happened to me was just... Okay, so this is real. You guys need to wrap your head around how real this is. This is security camera footage that's admissible as evidence in a court of law. In fact, they prefer you have security camera footage because it shows the intruder, it shows their face and what they stole. Well, nobody stole anything, but there was an intruder. It showed her face, and she didn't steal anything. She left her image on the camera. All right. And what I went through was, I thought I was going to die, and she's there for a reason. Okay. This is, when you see this whole picture right here, the angel with the all-seeing eye and Mary, and you realize this is an anointing ceremony. I posted that warning of the dragon. I showed you the dragon of Revelation 12 that nobody else saw. Everybody else was looking for it after the star alignment, but it happened before the star alignment. It says the dragon stood in front of the woman. So the Revelation 12 sign took place before how do I say this? The dragon appeared before the Revelation 12 sign, not afterwards. And that's why everybody missed it. I was shown it, and I was told to warn the world, and I didn't know what to do. I never even believed in Nibiru. How do you do that kind of stuff, right? So I just did the best I could, and then I did not feel too good about the job I did, and I thought I was going to die. So, and here she is consoling me because of who I am. Okay? That's Mary consoling me because I wasn't feeling good. All right? You understand what's going on here? The mother consoling her son when he's not feeling too hot because of what happened. Okay? So now I have all these giant faces that appear on my security cameras. And now this activity has also taken to the clouds. Okay, so we got to do this just real quick for a couple of newcomers here. So bear with me, you seasoned veterans. Okay, now this activity is appearing in the clouds. Howdy, folks. Welcome back. So these faces that I've been showing you in the last few videos that are in the etherical or in that mosaic that I was talking about. Mosaic of dots. Are not only taking place there, but now they're taking shape. It really makes them pop now. So if you can't see it yet, there's an eye here, an eye here. Here's the nose, a mouth down below. Here's an ear coming back up, the jaw running down, little pointed chin. And this face seems to almost be bisected. One half is like a goblin, and this other half looks like almost like a Wolverine or a Ewok type character. So I'll let you look at that for a minute. And this was pretty faint in the original picture, but now with the filter, it really makes it pop. So hopefully you guys can see that now. And then I'm going to bring you some more. And just real quick here, I wanted to show you the unfiltered version. This is the original right here compared to this one right here, where you can make out a lot better. Okay. Okay, one more. And this one right here, you can make out we have an eye here and an eye right here. Here's the nose, and here's some lips. And it looks like he's blowing. You can make out his ear over here, horns and stuff coming up, his eyebrows. Okay, these faces in the clouds follow me everywhere I go. Whether I go to a different town, I go out shopping, whatever, there's this cloud of witnesses, all kinds of faces staring at me, watching my every move, studying every move I make. They watch, follow, and study everything I do, much like you guys do. You're watching, following, and studying, right? And this is the activity. When you look up and you're not buried in your phone, what's up? This is what's up. This is what's going on in your clouds, all right? It's real activity. This isn't fake. This isn't computer. This isn't AI generated or what, or some of the other programs or whatever. Photoshop. This is real activity caught in your clouds. This happened on April 17th, 2020 on Easter. Okay. And now what has happened is these faces in the clouds have changed from just regular faces to my face in the clouds. Here, we're going to do this really quick. The clouds yesterday, and I noticed something forming in the clouds, what looked like a face over here. And I'm going to start zooming in on this face because it's a real face. And if you look back behind it here, let's zoom in just a little bit. You'll notice that back behind here, this face is being projected by Jesus's heart. The Manchester. You can see it radiating out. Here's Jesus's face. He's pulling open his shirt, exposing his heart. His heart's radiating out this image in the sky. See his face here? And there's a crown right here. Also in the etherical, in black, there's another crown right here. Anyways, I just wanted to show you this picture. One. I took a picture of the same cloud, but this is at a different angle. I rotated it 90 degrees. I want you to look right up in here. You can see that there's a face, two eyes, smile. Here's the head. And the arms are outstretched, and he's holding a cell phone taking pictures of the sky. This is an image of me taking the pictures of the clouds. So the clouds are now mimicking me taking pictures of them. Okay, so two different instances where my face is showing up in the clouds. Here I am. The clouds are mimicking me taking pictures of them. It is like the heavens saying, we recognize you taking pictures of us. I see you watching me, watching you, watching me. And to show you we recognize that, here you are holding your camera up at us. We recognize you're taking pictures of us, so we take your image and print it in the clouds. And here's my face in the clouds. Here's my face in the clouds as well, right here, with a crown on it. And then when we get to this, you'll understand this is my face as well with a crown on it. Happening on Easter, 2,000-year-old prophecy came true, just like the star alignment, just like the baby being born, just like the anointing ceremony, all came true. 2,000 years later, the 2,000-year-old prophecy came true. And on Easter, this event happened, and I captured all kinds of pictures of it. All right? I even took some of them and rotated them 90 degrees so you could see. And over the course of time, these pictures changed. There was another event going on the other side of the hill, so I switched from one event to the back and forth, taking pictures. You see this little spheroid guy? Wait until the end here. You'll see this little spheroid guy got them little wings coming off of his head. See the smile? And the little, almost like horns, little wings coming off of it, much like the little ball that landed at Manchester. Has this little face with little horns coming off of it, just like this. It's almost like reminds me like a character out of Pokemon or something like that. I don't understand why it's, cartoonish or whatever, but that's what it is. These are the pictures I took. Okay. So now there's your spherical object with a little wing type thing that we saw coming off the sun and landing in UK. At the same time, all this was going on as well. Okay. Hopefully you can see a face with long hair coming out of it and a crown up above here. Okay, you tilt your head to the right about 45 degrees. It's a lot easier. And let me get on some images and stop moving it. There we go. All right, just the same event. I'm just clicking away pictures as many as I can until the blood runs out of my arms and I either drop from a heart attack or faint or whatever. Very painful process to take these pictures. What you're looking at is a lot of pain involved as well in order to capture these. So, with that all being said, now you'll kind of be able to connect some dots, hopefully, and understand what's going on. Now, I got some good stuff for you guys right here. Yeah, right here. So, also, when I titled this What's Up, that could be another kind of up, like your attitude. Sometimes we're feeling down. Other times we had a good time, we're feeling up. So what is up? What's up and what's down? When are you feeling happy? When are you feeling sad? What is joy? What is happiness? What's up? So joy is a choice. It's one that you face many times each day as long as you live in this fallen world. When you graduate to heaven, indescribably glorious joy will be yours effortlessly. You won't have to exert your will to be joyful. It will come naturally and be constant. While you journey through this fallen world, I want to help you make increasingly wise choices. You need to become aware and stay aware that you can choose to be positive and hopeful moment by moment. Your joy is a choice. You can choose to be positive, you can choose to be hopeful, and you can choose to do it moment by moment. Make it your goal to find joy in the midst of your day. If you notice that you're experiencing discouragement, frustration, because there's a lot of frustration, because I'm experiencing it too, okay? I feel you guys' frustration. I feel your guys' discouragement. So if you notice that you're feeling that discouragement, you're feeling that same frustration, or any other negative feelings, let those prickly emotions prod you into remembering me. That's what they are for. They're to remind you of me. that I'm here with you. You're in my presence. And those little things, those are little reminders, they're uncomfortable because you lost awareness. So make it your goal to find joy in the midst of your day. What do we do here? We try to salvage our day, right? I keep trying to tell you this discipline of salvaging your day. Well, that's finding joy in the midst of your day. So your day's going along and you notice you're experiencing just some discouragement, or you notice you're experiencing some frustration and negative feelings. Those are emotions that prod you into seeking me. So seek my face and talk with me. You can pray something like, Jesus, I choose to be joyful because you are God, you are my Savior, and nothing can separate me from your loving presence. That prayer right there can really, it's got so much power if you utilize it. Seek my face, pray something like, I choose to be joyful. Jesus, recognize Jesus is the tool. When you include Jesus in that, then you can find that joy, okay? It's impossible to find it without including it. So start your prayer off with a simple Jesus, and then you can, I choose to be joyful. I refuse to be negative today. Whatever you want to include in that prayer, just start it something like, Jesus, I choose to be joyful, because joy is a choice. So I choose to be joyful. Well, that joyful is because I recognize now that you're here, that you are my God and Savior. And I also recognize that nothing is going to separate me from this loving presence. This loving presence right there. You see that? Nothing's going to separate you from that. And that should calm your discouragement. It should calm your frustrations. It should turn your negative feelings into positive. You have victory on your side. So what happens when you seek my face? You look up, because you'll see me coming where? Not on your cell phone. You'll see me coming in the clouds. Well, now you can see me on your cell phone, but you'll see me coming in the clouds. When you seek my face, you see it in the clouds. What's behind my face? The Holy of Holies, where everything comes from, the heart of Jesus, the heart of God right here. Okay, so when you seek my face, you choose to be positive. You recognize that what's going on and that your adversity is really just a test, okay? And it takes the sting out of everything, making you able to, now I don't expect you to skip down the street whistling a tune and tap dancing when you got your arm broken. That's not how it works. It's being able to not freak out in your adversity, to see the adversity what it's for, and choose to still be joyful even in the midst of your adversity. When you live this way, when you choose to be joyful because you seek me, my face, and you realize I'm your Savior, then that's when you start to live. You're actually living now. Before, you were kind of just dull. Now you live victoriously. You don't just live. You live victoriously now by seeking to find me in more and more of your moments. That's how you live victoriously, by seeking to find me in your moments. Okay? It's simple stuff, just hard to do. These are disciplines. They're to be practiced every day. It's not just one day on Sunday when you go to church. It's a way of living. It's a lifestyle that brings strength and courage and joy in the midst of your adversity. It takes the sting out of everything, even death. It takes the sting out of death too, doesn't it? doesn't it? Okay, now, this salvaging your day, this turning your day around from a negative into a positive, sometimes has to be done more than once a day. And when you do succeed in turning it around and being positive, that's a victory, that's a glory. And then something else happens in the day and you overcome that negativity and you become positive. That's another victory, that's another glory. So you're in tribulation, going from glory to glory to glory while in tribulation. Okay, these are the tests, and when you pass the test, you get a little like a little glory, and I make a collage like this of your glories, of your victories, so you'll see more clearly what your victories were and what you achieved each glory by salvaging your day, by bringing that light into other people's lives. And it's work, okay? It's not just something that comes easy, it's work too. And whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as if working for me, not for men. Okay? Half-heartedness is not pleasing. It's not pleasing to me, it's not pleasing to you, nor is it good for you either. When you do things half-heartedly, it's not good for you. Mentally, it's just not. Okay? It's tempting to rush through routine tasks and do them sloppily just to get them done. But this negative attitude of just rushing to get things done just to get them done, that negative attitude will pull you down and lower your sense of worth. If you do the same task with a thankful heart, you can find pleasure in that task and do a much better job. It's helpful to remember that every moment of your life is a gift from me. So instead of feeling entitled to better circumstances, make the most of whatever I've provided, including your work. So make the most of your work. Okay, instead of feeling entitled for better circumstances, just work harder at on yourself. Okay, just like Adam and Eve in the garden, I instructed them to work it and take care of it. And even though it was a perfect environment, it was not a place of idleness or total leisure. So whatever you do, you are working for me. So give me your best efforts, and I will give you joy. You will have self-worth, some sense of worth, because of the hard work you put into yourself. We're working on you. You're gonna give you're working on fixing yourself half-heartedly. Well, you could do better that for yourself. You gotta, whatever you do, you're working for me. So give me your best efforts, and I return it with joy. I give you joy and self-worth. You have confidence now. You could sleep at night knowing, hey, I did my best job I could. There's no second guessing. Hey, I could have done better there. I should have done this. I spilled that thing at the end and just ran out and locked the door and left the spill right inside the door. So the next person coming in the morning is going to slip and fall and die. And you're going to be stressing about that all night in your head and not be able to sleep because you did things half-assed, half-heartedly, right? So whatever you do it like you're doing it for me. And that's what gives you joy. Boy, this stuff is, you guys are really holding on here. So I'm going to just keep plowing forward. When you give things your best effort and you know you're working for me, I see what you're doing. I know what you're attaining, the victory, and how much effort you're putting into it. So that effort makes you thirsty. You're like thirsty for more. You want to keep digging. You want to keep overcoming things. You want to keep going from one glory to the next to the next. Once you've kind of got this discipline down and you've got some confidence, you're like, you thirst for more. Bring it on. I can handle it. I'm equal to anything now. And you start to thirst for life and thirst for this adventure, okay? And to the one who is thirsty, I will give water free of charge from the spring of the water of life. The spring of the water of life, right there. And I give this free of charge, huh? It's not like monetized. I don't, it's not Rumble or whatever. You don't pay for these. I give this away freely. And what do I give freely? The spring of water of life. That's the spring of water of life that I'm giving away freely right now, aren't I? Aren't I? So, to the one who is thirsty, who strives, I will give water free of charge from the spring of the water of life. So drink deeply from this spring, so that I can live abundantly in you. Let the water of life soak into the depths of your being, refreshing and renewing you. Let that water refresh and renew you. And since this life water is free, you can have as much of it as you want. As much of me as you want. I am Christ in you, the hope of glory, right? You're going from glory to glory. The hope of your glories. I bring you hope of your glories now, don't I? I am Christ in you, the hope of glory. I long for you guys to thirst for me, your God, more and more. Thirst is a very powerful appetite, and this is necessary because drinking sustains life even more than eating. Pure water is much healthier choice than canned drinks full of sugar and chemicals. Similarly, thirsting for me, first and foremost, is crucial for your spiritual health. Thirsting for me is crucial for your spiritual health. And though other things may seem to satisfy you for a while, they will not they will not satisfy the thirst of your soul. They just won't. There's only one thing that will satisfy the thirst of your soul, and that's this, the hope of the spring of water. Spring of water of life. When that penetrates through and gets to you, and that you understand that thirsting for me, which is free by the way, is crucial for your spiritual health, you will rejoice that what you need most is free of charge. So, joyously draw from the water, from the spring of salvation. Root word salvage. Salvation, salvaging your day. And the ones that thirst for me, I give water free of charge. Don't I? I don't show my face on camera much. I prefer to do it this way, okay? So you guys can get used to looking up into the clouds and expecting to see, okay? Come back here. This turns into a lion face right here too as well, for those of you who haven't noticed. Okay, so even though you don't see me, like on the screen, like most YouTubers got to have their face in the screen. I prefer to do it this way. And even though you don't see me, you believe in me. I am far more real, complete, unchanging, unlimited than the things you can see. So when you believe in me, you're trusting in rock solid reality. Keep telling you, this is your rock, this is your foundation, this is rock solid reality. More real than your physical realm that you guys walk around in. Okay? So even though you don't always see me in the clouds, you do believe in me because I am far more real, complete, unchanging, and unlimited than the things you can see. So when you believe in me, you're trusting in rock solid reality. You don't even know what reality is anymore because the deception in the media and around the world, you don't know who to trust anymore. You don't even know what's real and what's not. Well, I'm showing you something that's more real than your physical realm. The rock, the foundation, the rock. I am the indestructible rock on which you can keep standing. No matter what your circumstances may be, that rock is indestructible and you can keep standing. And because you belong to me, I am devoted to you. I encourage you to take refuge in me. See, believing me and believing in me has innumerable benefits. The most precious one is the salvation of your soul. The salvation of your soul is practiced every day by salvaging your day, not going negative, trying to fight through that and stay positive, is salvaging your soul day by day, the salvation of your soul. The most precious benefit is the salvation of your soul, and that's forever. Your belief in me and believing me also enhances your present life immensely, making it possible for you to know who you are and whose you are. Okay? This is what's making it possible for you to know who you are, who your identity is, and who you belong to. Whose you are. You belong to me. I paid for you. Now, as you stay in communication with me, I help you find your way through this fallen world with hope in your heart. As you stay in communication with me, I help you find your way through this fallen world with hope in your heart. And all of this enlarges your capacity for joy. It does. It enlarges your capacity for joy. Your joy can now go into adversity. It's been enlarged into that field. No longer is adversity so bad because you can find joy in it. So it enlarges your capacity for joy. And the more you seek me and the more fully you know me, the more I can fill you with inexpressible and glorious joy. I want you to trust me enough to relax and enjoy my presence. I did not design you to live in a state of hypervigilance, just hyper freaked out, feeling and acting as if you're constantly in the midst of an emergency. Because isn't that what's been happening to some people lately, is feeling and acting as if you're in the midst of a constant emergency? And it's just, there's no relief from this emergency. It's just like, go, 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 hurry, 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 hurry. It's coming, faster, faster, faster. That's that hypervigilance. And I don't want that for you. I want you to trust me enough to relax and enjoy my presence. Okay? Your body is wonderfully crafted to gear up when necessary, and then also to gear down when the crisis is over. But because you live in such a broken world, you find it difficult to let down your guard and relax. I want you to remember that I am with you all the time and that I am totally worthy of your confidence. Pour out your heart to me, committing all the things that are troubling you into my sovereign care. All those things that are troubling you are like rocks on the path. And you got this empty backpack and you keep picking up these rocks and throwing them in your backpack. All your troubles, you just keep piling them in your backpack. And it gets heavy and it gets burdensome. And you don't need to do that. You can pour out your heart to me and give me all those things that are troubling you, all those rocks, and put them in my backpack. Put them in my sovereign care. So you can relax, so you can lean on me. The more you lean on me, the more fully you can enjoy my presence. Now, as you relax in my healing light, I shine peace into your mind and heart. Your awareness of my presence with you, grows stronger and stronger, and my unfailing love soaks deeper and deeper into your being. So trust in me, beloved, with all your heart and mind. And you got nothing to lose. Give it a try. You got nothing to lose and everything to gain. It's not some parlor trick. You have to put the work in too. And you work as if you were working for me, you will find that peace in your mind and in your heart. When you trust me enough to relax in my presence, then you can leave that hypervigilance feeling behind. You're not in a constant emergency. You can gear down right now because the crisis is over. You're here with me. You're in my presence. I want you to commit all the things that are troubling you into my sovereign care. Okay? Give those things that are troubling you into my sovereign care. Okay, that's it for tonight. Long week, and I still got a long week still to go. And I got to get some rest. Okay, so I love you guys. I really do. I love you with an unconditional love that spans eternity. These disciplines, when you practice these disciplines and you put them into action, that makes you a disciple by default. Discipline in action is a disciple. You don't get to proclaim yourself one. You just are one by default when you practice disciplines. When you practice these disciplines I'm teaching you and try to salvage your day and go from glory to glory, bringing that light into other people's lives, you're going to be fine. You're going to sleep well at night. You're going to understand the story of what's going on this planet, and events won't trigger you as much. Okay? It's not going to never happen. You're not going to be perfect peace all the time. It's a bumpy road. Okay? But you try your best. It's progress, not perfection. It's the willingness to want to do it. Okay? And this is for your mental health. So if you only do it half-assed, well, then that's how much you care about yourself. It's only kind of so-so. No, this is for you. Give it all you got as we approach the finish line. Much like a marathon runner, you don't sprint the whole marathon, right? You save yourself for different stages, different parts, the hill, All of a sudden now it's downhill and you can kind of relax and ease up and catch your breath for the next part of the run or whatever. But then as you get close to the finish line, you've saved up some strength. And then as you approach the finish line, you give your kick. The horses give a kick or whatever, and all of a sudden they take off and they sprint towards the finish line for victory. Well, you're in those closing stages. I'm not asking you to run and do all kinds of super, things all the time. But when you are doing your work, do it as if you're doing it for me. That will bring joy to you. You will have the self-worth. You'll feel better about yourself. You'll be able to sleep. You'll be able to take them rocks out of the backpack and go, here, take that one and take this one and take that one, please. And I will. And we'll overcome them together, and then we'll build it a little collage of how you trusted me, and we overcame it, and we went on to the next one and overcame that one, went on to the next one and overcame it, and went from glory to glory to glory in your tribulation, finding joy even in the midst of your circumstances. This is possible because of who I am, all right? When you see this image right here, this is my face coming in the clouds with power and great glory. On Easter, a 2,000-year-old prophecy happened to me because of who I am. When you see this face in the clouds, that's me coming with power and great glory. When you hear of wars and rumors of wars and earthquakes in diverse places and you see all these other signs going on, look up. What's up? Look up. You'll see me in the clouds. You'll see me in the clouds coming with power and great glory. When you see that image, it's fascinating. It's intriguing. You get caught up in it, much like you do a good book or a good YouTube or a TikTok thread. The last 4 hours I was gone off in TikTok land. Well, you're in the clouds with me right now. Okay, you're not in TikTok land. You're with me in the clouds, where we meet in the air of cyberspace, where I've created a place here at my channel where I go live every night so that where I am, you may be also. Okay? You're caught up with me in the clouds. The rapture could happen at any moment. At any moment, you could see this face and believe me at any moment, and whenever you decide, that moment is that your rapture moment. So the rapture can happen at any moment, but it's not happening the way Hollywood portrayed, because the word rapture is not in the Bible. And I wish people would stop referring to it because they got all their hearts set on something that's not going to happen the way they want. No, it happens this way. And aren't you glad it happens this way? Because you're here witnessing it. You are caught up with me in the clouds, where you met me in the air, cyberspace, where I went ahead and provided this channel where I am, you may be also. If you believe me and you're practicing these disciplines, you might not have success right away, but keep working at it until the miracle happens. Don't give up. This is for you. Work at it as if you're working for me. We're trying to help you. So don't give yourself a half-assed effort. Put it all in. Go for it. You got nothing to lose. When you do, you feel better. You rest a little easier. And that's that peace within. I'm trying to fill your heart and mind with that peace, that courage, that joy that transcends all your circumstances. This isn't magic. This is the real way it works. This is how I intended it for it to work in you. So when it finally does and it finally clicks and you realize who I am, and that you are caught up with me in the clouds for real, then you realize who you are. You are truly a member of a very exclusive family, a royal family. A royal family that refuses to give up, that refuses to go down, that will still tackle the day no matter what adversity comes their way. And that's what gives you guys strength. You have confidence now that no matter what the day throws at you, it might be rough for a while, but I can still overcome it. when you have practice and success at delivering over and over, I deliver over and over for you. And when you get used to that, you can count on it. And all of a sudden, your life changes. Your perspective changes. You see things from my perspective now. And then it really solidifies your identity as a child of God. The code and the music I keep talking about, for those of you who have found it and have enjoyed it, put a little comment in the chat room, or put a little comment in the comment section. I know you found it, but I want you to let other people here know that it's real and that you found it too. Okay, so you don't have to go telling your whole family and friends, but you can tell people in this channel, in this chat room, in the comments, that you did find success in these disciplines, that you did find that code in the music, that you did find out that you truly are who I say you are. The moment you believe me is the moment you become one. Okay? You want to be a child of God, you got to believe me. You know, a lot of people say, I believe in God. Well, do you believe God and what he said and what he told you? Because there's a difference in believing in somebody and believing them. See, I couldn't get anybody to believe me. And yet this is a real thing that's happening to me and nobody would believe me. That's why it's important that you believe people. Because I was going through a very traumatic event in my life and I couldn't get any support. I couldn't get any recognition. I couldn't get anybody to even give me 5 minutes of their time while I'm in excruciating pain. They're like, what's causing this pain? Well, can I show you? No. Well, why not? Why can't I show you, Doc, what's causing my pain? So that's why it's so vital. That's why it's so vital that you give me the moments of your time that you do and that you believe me, because it's not about, hey, look at me and what I discovered. It's what I have for you to help you. The gifts that I have found through enduring this process, I freely give to you, because you're going to be going through that process as well. And you'll need those tools in your toolbox to maintain composure as you go through these coming days. That's how this works. It's really simple stuff. You just got to keep applying it day by day. And a lot of you guys have found success, and you're going from glory to glory to glory. And I'm making these collages all over the place because you guys are just going to town. Just as a little reminder, don't give up in your work. Work as if you're working for me, because it's enhancing you. It's for your mental health. Okay. So don't give up on yourself. Keep working at it. And regardless whether you've accepted this or not, just keep working at it. Don't give up until the miracle happens. Okay. Because one of these days it's going to click and you're going to go, oh, wait a second. When he says you're in my presence, I'm actually in the presence of the Lord, where I created a place. I am, you may be also. I wonder if this is going to work right here. Yeah, it might, just real quick. I'll try to do this. I'll see if I can get a little bit. Turn the camera around just real quick here. There it is. It's a stab wound on the side of my chest. A birthmark of a stab wound on the side of my chest. Because of who I am. Alright, so that's it for tonight. I love you guys. Turn that around again. One more time. There we go. Alright. You are caught up with me in the clouds, where I provided this place that where I am, you may be, so we could meet in the air of cyberspace, live on YouTube, where you get caught up and taken away from your circumstances, and we practice our disciplines and learn about some astrophysics and geophysics along the way. That's it for tonight. I sure love you guys. I miss you guys. And I'm a man of my word. And when I say I will be back, I will be back. I am already back. Can't you tell? Love you all. Bye.